I was so tired I didn't think I'd be able to make a video. Well, I am still tired. That's not past tense until I actually do sleep. But I figured I'm going to forget things soon, so I might as well make a quick little blog before that happens. It has been kind of a whirlwind adventure to reach the point I'm at right now. Started, yesterday at 1 p.m. or something like that. That's when I went to the airport, and originally my flight was supposed to be at that time, but they texted me or contacted me and saying your flight's delayed 2 hours. Cool, which is really good when it happens at home, because then I don't have to get out of the airport and waste time at the airport doing nothing. So that time was pretty cool. But then I got out there and another delay, and then 2, and then 3, and 4. They just kept pushing it like half hour, half hour, half hour. I had actually talked to the pilots because they had to wait too, and the pilots had said, yeah, there was a light, some sort of malfunction light or some light that was on, and the cat is jumping on the table. And when it's something like that, so they just can't reboot it, or it's not easy enough, it's not simple enough to just do something like that. It takes a lot. And I think at the end, I don't know if there actually was mechanical issues or just the light. I mean, why would a light go on? I don't know, but they don't take any chances, especially right now. So I think they were looking for another plane, so they pushed it out to 6, and then 6 o'clock came, and I finally, or actually it was about 5 o'clock when I just finally got the message saying the flight's been canceled and rescheduled days later. So that's not good, but it's happening more and more right now because 1/5 of their fleet is grounded because they can't fly those planes, the 737 MAX. So yeah, anyway, so the first thing I did, of course, was get online and book the cheapest flight I could, because I had to get there. The flight that Alaska put me on was 2 days later, like Sunday. It's like, nah, that doesn't work for me. So I, in the line, well, I did it on my laptop. I was right there, and I went there and found American Airlines that night, 9 o'clock, could get me there next morning. And that was perfect. 1 layover in Philadelphia. So that was actually a good solution. However, once I did that, then I started like walking through the airport, and I saw the line, the customer service line for Alaska was just huge. And they had like 3 or 4 agents, but I knew that would have been an hour. So I figured I'll do it on the phone. And I called them, so my backup was the American Airlines, because I wanted to go on Alaska, but I talked to them on the phone, and they're like, yeah, we don't have any flights till like Saturday, and even then I get there at like 10 o'clock, too late. So nothing could be done with Alaska, so I stuck with my American flight. Now Alaska, during the first postponements, they did give a $12 voucher that could be used anywhere at the airport, really, except alcohol, whatever. So I did use that. I walked around and found a place to get a cheap, some food, not cheap, but so I didn't want to go to waste. Then when they canceled the flight, they offered a $200 voucher for future flights, that's good. But because my new flight costs more than my old flight, I think I can expense that back to them, file a claim, and either get the whole flight paid for, which would be good. But technically, I don't know if they owe me that as much, because you would think subtract the difference. But they should owe for Uber costs, because there's no way I could stay at the airport like for 8 hours or something. Any food, but I didn't really spend any. So there's a few items here and there. In fact, I probably could have taken the train or the Uber both ways if I knew for sure I was going to get reimbursed. But I didn't. I took the train halfway and then Uber and then coming back, same thing. Only because the train wasn't even running all the way home. So, yeah, it was an ordeal. And then the 9 o'clock American Airlines got delayed itself, so I couldn't even take that flight. The flight was delayed, so it was delayed till midnight, 12:35. Like, that's why I went home. I figured I'll spend a few hours at home, then come back. And luckily, I live close enough to do that. But they later texted again, updated, and they said, now the flight is going to be 12:15. So they actually moved the flight back, or forward, I guess would be the word. And it's like, I've never seen a flight actually have an earlier time than what was scheduled, even though that wasn't the original time. But it just seems like, how do people plan? Because you plan to, be there at a certain time to catch the flight, and if they move it up, you could be like really screwed. So that was odd, but I don't know. It was a very odd day, to say the least. So yeah, I went home, came back, and then the flight did take off around that time. But now I had first class before, now I had no class. I was just like in the 30s, so I boarded last, and I got into the row. But the middle was empty, the middle seat, so that was kind of good. And I think I just lied my head back, and I was able to sleep for maybe an hour or two. Yeah, not a deep sleep, but enough. But then next thing I know, we're landing in Philadelphia. And it was interesting because it's like, I'd never been to Philadelphia, and I really can't consider myself have been there if I'm just at the airport. But flying over and just seeing how cold, and oh, there's a little kitty, seeing how cold it was at that time, because yeah, there was blankets of snow everywhere. Anyway, there I had a couple hours, another layover, and I just was so tired, but I couldn't really sleep, so I just walked around, fiddled around, and then my next flight, yeah, I tried to ask if there's anything with an open row, but they said no, like the seat I had was the best. So I thought, okay. So I went, and I was in the very back of the plane. I was went from the first class front to the very back. Well, nobody else was in the row. I mean, I actually did have the empty row, so I was actually already in the best row. And the guy on the other side of me, of the aisle, he had a whole row too, so he was lucky too. So for me, I just, as soon as we took off, I laid across the best I could. No blankets, no pillows, and not the most comfortable thing, but yeah, I mean, beats nothing. So I slept a little on that, not as long. It's only a 3-hour flight at that point. So I, got what I could. Although I noticed the other person never actually lied flat, and just kind of just sat there in this aisle chair. I thought, you missed your opportunity, but yeah. And luckily, through all of this, my baggage, when it was first canceled, the flight, Alaska, it was in the baggage area, so I was actually able to go get my bag and to check it right back out again, and then check it on to the American flight. So it would have been really bad if my bags didn't show up at the same time I did. Yeah, so, and then getting into Fort Myers around 1, had to wait about half an hour for my ride because there was an accident. I'm not superstitious, so I don't really go for all that stuff, but people are saying, oh, your flight thing, and the other person had trouble getting there, and all these things going on. It's like, yeah, so we don't do a show, it just doesn't make sense. It's just, these are coincidences, these things happen. We just notice them more when we look for them more. So I got a ride, and then I didn't even get to go home or to the house. I just went straight to the performance venue, and I tried to get a little rest in the green room. Nah, it wasn't anything worthwhile. Just basically just closing my eyes for a while. And then other actors arrived, and the show went really well. It was a good show, and yeah, the first time we've done this show on the East Coast, so that was cool. And everyone did a great job, so I was happy with it. And then afterwards, we tried to go out for some wine and beer, but I did have a glass of wine, but I was just so tired. I was like, I can't even keep my eyes open. And throughout all this stuff going on today, and there was, of course, the Niners playing in the playoff game. So I was like, I didn't want to focus on or stress about that. So I just kind of would still read text, because the text chat groups would have text come in. So I still kept up to date. It was still stressful because I knew their chances were slipping away. So that was huge. I mean, even though it wasn't the big thing of the day, that kept me, my mind going. But in the end, it turned out to be a victory. So that was cool, a little shocking, and really cool, and just pleasantly surprised. And at this point, yeah, it's midnight here. So really, I've been traveling for, gosh, 24 or 32 or 36 hours. I guess, yeah, 36 hours without any real sleep. And not much real food either. I have not really eaten much, so I had long breaks. Although I did have a Whopper Jr. earlier and some fries. So I guess I did have some food. That's it for now. I'll try to do one a night if I can, but who knows? Tomorrow will be a fun, relaxing day.